welcome back to another episode of The Prosperous Empath. I am always delighted to feature guests on the podcast with whom I have had the pleasure to work with personally, who are often secret weapons in my book. And today's guest was exactly that for me. A couple of years ago, I was really looking to improve my copy skills. I think there are so many skill sets to learn when you're in business for yourself, and learning how to write clear, compelling, and effective copy as a coach is often a learned skill. Because if you think about it, right, we all go to college and we may have some required classes in English Lit, or if you're lucky, maybe an effective communication class. But that's such a different skill set than learning how to write web copy or learning how to write compelling newsletters that evoke a response from your readers. And for me personally, if you've been here for a while, you are likely already subscribed, but I've been writing my weekly newsletter for years and sending it out on Friday mornings. And it's one of the tasks that I personally have never delegated to anyone on my team because I enjoy it so fully. But I was really interested in learning how to do it better and learning how to be more effective and to be more of a compelling writer. And so I started making inquiries for who peers in my network would recommend. And I was introduced to Allison Janda-Brown, and I met Allison through Martha Christina Garza, who's a long member of our community and has worked with me personally and is a member of our mastermind. And Martha is just an amazing connector, and she introduced me to Allison, and she said that I was going to love her. And she was right, of course. Allison and I hit it off instantly, connecting for a virtual coffee. And Allison is a conversion copywriter living in Omaha, Nebraska, with her husband, 3 rescue dogs, which we love here, and 1 incredible toddler. She strives to help women in business level up their copy and build up their fan base through the use of great words. And if I'm not mistaken, she's also the author of something like 13 self-published books. So she's the real deal, y'all. And I hired Allison because I wanted to learn how to be a better writer. And, I think there are many service providers that you can hire who are very effective at done-for-you services, but having the capacity to simultaneously teach you how to do something that you already do better and in a way that you can implement in the moment, I think that is an incredible superpower, and AJ is amazing at it. AJ is what friends endearingly get to call Allison. So some of the topics that we discuss on today's episode is how AJ transitioned from moving from job to job to create her freelance marketing and copywriting business, why she chooses to help her clients learn how to write better copy rather than just doing it for them. Thank you so much for that. What to infuse in your own copy today so that it resonates more with your audience and leads to more sales, and how the power of words and being bold can help you embrace new and/or different parts of yourself as an empath. We talk about this and so much more on today's episode. And if I'm not mistaken, Allison just came out with an amazing new offer called Copy Mechanic, which is a course for business owners learning how to write their own copy. She is an amazing, magical, heart-centered, empathic entrepreneur. She's a perfect fit for the podcast, and she is amazing at what she does. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Prosperous Empath podcast, designed especially for empaths and highly sensitive entrepreneurs just like you who are committed to achieving holistic success. I'm your host, Catherine Wood, Master Certified Coach, author, mastermind leader, and founder of Unbounded Potential, a boutique coaching firm for empathic entrepreneurs. I'm on a mission to bring empathy back into the world of business. Each episode will focus on achieving more by doing less through leveraging empath-friendly leadership practices, boundaries, rituals, and systems, all the while continuing to care deeply about ourselves, others, and the world around us. If you are committed to joyful living and running a conscious business, but amassing wealth while doing so, proving that you can have both in a society that tells you you can't, then you are in the right place. Join me here each week to find out how. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review so you won't miss an episode. Plus, you'll find all the show notes and helpful resources over at unbounded-potential.com. Allison, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Before we started recording, we were sharing about how this is your first podcast, and I feel like that's just so wild to think about because by way of context for my community, the way I know Allison is that, well, let's see, I hired Allison. I was introduced to Allison via another community member who we chat about a lot here, who was Martha Christina Garza. They were in a mastermind together. But I was looking for, I don't even remember what I told Martha that I was looking for, but I was definitely looking for copywriting help. And she recommended you, and I had a single chat, and I hired you. I think I hired you on the spot. I usually hire people on the spot. That's usually my style. Because you were just so wonderful and so knowledgeable. And we'll come back to that. But then you came and talked on my mastermind and you led a workshop for them. And you were such a fabulous teacher and educator. Like, you did such a great job sharing your expertise on copy and how to write more compelling copy. So you being on podcasts feels like a slam dunk. And I am excited to help you pop the cherry.
Thanks so much.
Just to kick us off, why don't you share with us your pronouns and a little bit about who you are?
Pronouns, she, her. I am a full-time copywriter as well as a full-time mom to one child who sometimes makes me feel like I have five. And
Don't
then
forget the dogs.
I also have 3 dogs. And if I had my way, I would also have cows and chickens and pigs and donkeys and sheep and goats and everything else you can imagine. Maybe one day.
Amazing.
But yeah, I have a copywriting business that I started back in about 2012. And originally it was Curly Q Media, and now it is Writer Lust. And then I'm also the author of, I believe, 12 now books, mostly chick lit. And then there's one women's fiction and one thriller. And I am thinking about also going into romance.
Oh, but I don't know what a chick lit book is.
It is, well, mine are murder mysteries. They are, but they're for women. Janet Ivanovich type books, if you've ever read her with Stephanie Plum. That's kind of the vein that they're in.
Okay. Oh my gosh. For anyone who knows Allison, putting Allison together with murder mysteries.
Which I can't watch. Like, it gives me anxiety. I cannot watch them, but I love writing them.
Yeah. Well, so I think it's amazing to have 12 books behind you is like, there's something pretty incredible to be said about that. But I think I'd love to just hear about your journey. Like, how did you get started? How did you set out? You've been in business now for 13 years. Like, that's really impressive.
Crazy. Yeah, I was just never good at the 9 to 5. And I always felt like there was something wrong with me. And I was forever doing a job for a year or two and then just getting bored and leaving. And I think it was really frustrating, especially my poor mother, to not have the steady salary and the benefits, and to know that, I was being taken care of and could take care of myself and all of those things, but it just wasn't right. And I never knew what was wrong, really.
Mm.
Um, and then I had a job that was particularly not good. And I remember I quit pretty much on the spot. Like I didn't even give them 2 weeks notice. There was just some stuff that happened and I had no backup plan. I hadn't been interviewing for anything. And I just decided I'm going to try to do what I do for these businesses, which at the time was marketing for just multiple clients. So that's what I did. I just kind of started cold emailing. I'd find businesses that were hiring on job boards for marketers or copywriters. And I would just email them and tell them who I was and what I could do, and that I didn't want to work from an office, but that if they wanted to hire me remotely, that I could help them for a much less expensive rate, essentially, than they'd have to pay, benefits and all those kinds of things. And I got a couple bites. And so I just kept going until I got to basically where I am now, which is I don't have retainer clients anymore. I just do one-off clients and then passive income. So,
Hmm. So we had an episode a couple weeks ago that was titled Entrepreneurship on Accident. So it sounds like that's true for you.
very much, very much so. It was not planned at all. But as soon as I started doing it, it felt like what I was supposed to always be doing.
Hmm. Hmm. Totally. I mean, I think you're amazing at it. I mean, I've shared about this on social, and I think I shared about it in my website, Rebrand, giving you a shout out. But like when we worked together, you helped me write copy better. And I think that essentially like you taught me to write more compelling copy. And that's a really different skill set than being a copywriter. Teaching someone to write compelling copy versus writing it yourself is an entirely unique set of skills. So I'm curious how you acquired them.
I don't know. I don't have any teachers in my family. I don't have teaching in the genes. I do really enjoy it though. I love, I think that when I was first starting out and I was kind of trying to figure out my way along and feel out what everything would look like, I took a lot of courses online and did a lot of the workshops, the paid workshops, and that kind of thing, just trying to figure out the whole idea of what a business, running an online business, looked like. And there was so much about them that I liked, but there were also elements that I felt were missing. I'm just the type of person that really needs a little bit of handholding sometimes. It's all well and good to, I think, learn about things, and copy is one of those things that is fascinating to learn about. But unless you see it actually done, I feel like, or if somebody shows you how to implement the things that you're talking about, it's really difficult to know if you're actually doing it right. So it was really important to me when I got to a point where I had more followers, that I wasn't just offering, things that were pre-recorded. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just that beyond that, I feel like there's another element for some of us, which is we like to know if we're doing it correctly. And I think that that's what the live element does for me, and that teaching element does for me. It gives me the opportunity to not only show, but also kind of see that spark in people's eyes when they get it, and helping to give them those aha moments, and knowing that they're going to go off and be able to write better copy is so much more meaningful to me than just selling a course and never necessarily meeting with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that. And I'd love to jump into how do you know when you're doing it correctly, when you're doing it well? Like when you work with your clients and you're teaching them to write more effective copy, what are some of the things that you look for?
I think one of the biggest and easiest elements that you can implement into your copy is looking out for passive as opposed to active words. Um, I I think that a lot of people, when they're writing their own copy, you hear the phrase that you're supposed to write how you speak. And so naturally, there's a lot of words that tend to go into our copy that we would maybe say out loud, but that really shouldn't be implemented when we're trying to sell something. If we're trying to write a captivating email or if we're trying to write a high converting sales page. And I think that's an element that a lot of people forget about. So, really trying to switch out more passive words for more active ones. And if you are having trouble coming up with a word that works for you, I love the thesaurus. I love it. I'm addicted to it. It's open on my desktop all day, every day.
Of course it is.
Of course it is, because you can type in a word and then it comes up with 100 other words that are similar. And then you can click on them and you can go down all these different rabbit holes, or you can back out and go back to the original list. So I am a huge proponent of using the thesaurus, especially if you have a word that you don't feel is quite right, and utilizing that to write better copy.
Okay, I love that you started with passive voice versus active voice for our audience who maybe aren't familiar. Like, can you give some examples of passive voice versus active?
Sure. Passive voice, things like was, were, will be, should be, past tense, essentially, as opposed to active voice. You can use a lot more, use words that are bolder, discover or uncover or unearth. I think that there's so much more than a lot of people use, like how to or learn more. And you can switch those out for such a stronger, more colorful word that really sparks interest, as opposed to a word that you just read, or that you, or that your brain even potentially skips over.
I love that you started with passive voice, because I really recall that was actually one of my biggest ahas working with you, was shifting from passive to active voice and really not having any idea to the extent to which I was using passive voice in my copy. And it has me curious. I mean, I know that you and I both identify as empaths. We're both a bit more soft spoken, like we're not innately bold, big in your face type of people. And yet, so much of your copy is that. So I promise I'm going to get to my question, but it really has me curious, like, how does the power of words and being bold allow you to unlock parts of yourself, or embrace parts of yourself that maybe we don't always see right off the bat?
Yeah, I love that question. It's such a great question. I feel like who I am as a copywriter and as an author is very much the person that people close to me get to know. When I first meet people, I'm quieter, I'm more reserved, more introverted. I'm very much an observer. I'm the person at a party that either has to cling to an extrovert, or find the cat or whatever. I don't go out of my way to meet new people, but the people that get to know me know that there is that other side, that more loud and friendly and funny and boisterous side. And I feel like when I write, that is that side that comes out. It's just a much more fun side. It's a much more, I don't want to say appealing, because it's not like being an introvert and being an empath isn't appealing. But it's just more.
Mm-hmm. It is just more. I mean, especially like thinking about your books, right? Chiclets, murder mysteries. What was that? I'm curious if there was a journey or a process to unlock that moreness in your writing. Like, I know for me, a lot of it came from working with you, but what was that journey like for you?
I think when I started, originally I was doing the retainer clients, and then I kind of switched over to that more the one-on-one element. I really like the introverted side of me really likes doing things one-on-one with people and getting to know them and who they are and what their voice is and who it is that their target audience is and what it is that they want to sell. And when I started down that path, and was able to maybe open up a bit more to people, when you have to get to know them in order to be able to write copy for them, which required me to open up a bit more. And I think just seeing the way that I could be with various clients and how being more open with them and being more connected to them really helped them open up to me, and therefore resulted in a better product, because that's one thing I really pride myself on, is that I rarely have to edit things. Like, I can really nail people's voices after just a single conversation. But I think that all kind of came about organically because it was the result of a very slow realization over many clients that the more open I am with them, the more open they are with me, and the better the ultimate product.
Hello, hitting pause on this episode for just a moment to tell you about my absolutely favorite way for you to experience a taste of our work with ambitious empath entrepreneurs in our Unbounded Mastermind, the only community we know of that is exclusively for established empath entrepreneurs. To get high-level coaching from me, my co-coach, and be supported by a tight-knit community of values-aligned peers to finally step into your quantum next level. Each month, we host an intimate, non-networking power hour within our mastermind community for you to have a behind-the-scenes experience of what it's actually like to be supported in our community. Join us for our next event on Monday, June 26th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time by jumping on over to the show notes for this episode and grabbing your spot at unbounded-potential.com/podcast. I mean, I love that reminder for our listeners, because I think that is such a learning for empath entrepreneurs, that the more open we are with the folks that we talk to, the more open we are with our copy, the more we naturally attract our ideal clients, and the more authentic the relationships are.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I think your authenticity, it just shines out whenever you start talking, and you've created some really massive results for your clients. I know that you have some really just huge success stories. So how do you maintain such authenticity and kindness, and while also just totally making bank for your clients?
Yeah, another great question.
And you're welcome. But I really mean it, though. I think that it can be really challenging to be so authentically yourself while also being so successful, revenue-wise. And so I wonder, how do you hold both?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I realize that there are a lot of elements that go into running a successful business. And I love discussing a lot of the foundational aspects of sales and marketing for a business. I mean, that's just one thing that is near and dear to my heart, and ensuring that online businesses have that foundation in order to become successful or become more successful. But again, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's not just copy. I feel that you can write a wonderful sales page, but if the product isn't great, or if there aren't other elements that are set up properly, the launch won't necessarily be a success. So I appreciate taking credit for my part in things, but I also recognize that it takes a village to be successful. And I also think that uh, I think that there's just something to be said for the person who is actually doing the selling and for the person who's launching. Like I said, I really try to get to know these individuals and who they are and what they do and who they want to help. And I think that without their passion for what they do, that there is no success. So again, I think it just kind of comes back to working with good people. I really love working with good people, with kind people, with heart-centered people who really want to make a difference, and who go into things without egos, because I think that's really how you can make magic happen, when you're prepared to learn from each other and listen to each other.
I think those are such good reminders, like the idea that um, you attract good people by being a good person. And I also hear just this piece about passion, like through having the capacity to unlock someone's passion or the magic behind why they do what they do, that you can more effectively communicate that and talk about it.
Definitely. I think that the most successful launches that I've been a part of, the passion just comes through when I'm speaking to them, when we're in our initial meetings, or hashing out what needs to be written or how it needs to be written. um, I mean, that's one of the things that I loved about you so much, was just how passionate you are for this work of helping heart-centered empaths figure out their business and what it is that they want to do, and how they want to help people. So it's an element that I think is missing for a lot of online businesses. Um, I really love working with people that aren't just in it to make money, but they're also in it to help people, and um, people that have a purpose.
I mean, I think that is such a great reminder. As you were talking, I was listening for myself, and what I was thinking on is, like, when I talk to someone as a potential client, if I don't get to the passion or the magic of what they want or why they do what they do, then I don't invite someone to work with me. Because if
Right.
you're disconnected from your dreams, or you're disconnected from what brings you to life, um, then that's kind of an indicator for me. That's
Definitely.
and I think, like, in this world of business that's just so busy, so full, there's so
Mhm.
many business owners in the marketplace. Like, you have to be really clear on what you love, like what you can be at peace closing your laptop at the end of the day, that you're committing to, or what message you're sharing, or what story you're telling.
Right. I think that it's so important to feel good about the work that you produce. And in order to do that, I think that you have to feel good about the people that you're working with. It's just so important to have those re- relation. Like I said, it all comes back for me to relationships. It's if you cannot have a relationship with somebody, if I would not connect with somebody, I feel like in a social setting. Not that I would be in one willingly, but like at a networking event or something that I don't do anymore. But if you wouldn't be able to connect with somebody at that kind of event, then um, I don't. I choose not to work with them, because it's going to result in copy that I'm not proud of,
Yeah.
and it probably won't please them either. To be honest, I like the emails that I get where they're like, "This is excellent, no changes," or "Wow, this is, awesome, best copy I've ever had," or like, I want those types of clients, right? So, yeah, you have to be able to have that connection with somebody in order to deliver that level of product.
hmm So important. So important. And as I think about, like, running a conscious business, right? It's like, when we are conscious about all aspects of our business, from who we choose to work with, from whose message we choose to support, from who we allow ourselves to give our time and energy and heart to, we're either setting ourselves up for success and also protecting our empathic selves, or taking away from us. I,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
I really love that reminder. I've been prioritizing some SEO work lately.
Mm.
And as I do, I've been having a lot more people reach out to me, right? Which is great. And at the same time, it's requiring me to find new ways of handling this increased demand and finding ways that feel aligned with who I am and are kind and authentic, like all these things
Yes,
that we're talking about.
exactly.
Yeah, it's a learning. I think it's a practice for us.
It is. I think I really think it's probably going to be a lifelong learning because ultimately there is something to be said for organic reach, but there's also something to be said for keywords and for paid reach and for paid advertising. However, you have to also recognize that the type of prospects that you're going to get when you open yourself up to that paid side of things you're going to have a lot more that you have to filter through. And it's really important again, to be centered on what it is that you offer and who it is that you want to serve, because otherwise, I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in just making money, which is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with me. I love money, but that's not my only avenue, right? And so it's so important to recognize, like I said, who it is that you're serving and just really try to figure out ways to stay true to that.
100%. Well, that actually brings me to something else I want to chat about. I mean, I'm sure you didn't see this coming. Get ready.
I'm ready.
But one of the things I so appreciate about you is how much of a big, juicy, fun, eclectic, rewarding life that you lead and live outside of business. And I think that that's something that not all ambitious entrepreneurs can say for themselves, because I think it's really easy to get really kind of, tunnel vision in the success and growth of their business. So, I mean, I think I'd love for you to share a little bit about who you are outside of your business and then to contribute. And then let's connect the dots about how that impacts business.
Sure. In the introduction, I have my 4-year-old daughter and dogs, and I met my husband a little bit later. We didn't meet until our early 30s. So I think that I just had a really big, full life before I, got married and for all intents and purposes settled down and had a baby. I had started writing my books already. I had a good friend group. I was single, so I did lots of, fun things. I didn't shy away from trying a new thing. And I think that that's one thing that has continued to follow me, even through marriage and having a baby and having my own business, is that I'm a person outside of all of those things. I'm an individual outside of all those things. I have unique interests, and I want to continue to be true to those, because that's part of the reason that, my husband and I were attracted to each other. And I want to raise a very strong daughter who knows that there is so much more to life than what's right in front of you. So for instance, I always wanted to do voice lessons. I don't know why. I did theater when I was in high school. I haven't done it I'm almost 40. I haven't done it in years. But this last year, I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to take voice lessons. Not because I think I'm great and not because I want to be in any productions, but just because it's something that I want to do. So why not try it for a year? And same with ballroom dance lessons. I've never taken a dance lesson in my life. I have 2 left feet, but we took them for our wedding. We took 4 ballroom dance lessons for our wedding so that we could do a little bit of a fancier first dance. And I just fell in love with it. And so I decided to keep going. And again, it's not because I think that I'm particularly good or feel like, this is another path that my life could have champion ballroom dancing with the stars type thing, but I enjoy it and it makes me happy. So why not do it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm so glad you shared all those details. I really wanted to hear them because I think that that's such a good reminder for our audience who's listening and, wanting more fulfillment outside of their businesses, wanting to find more balance, looking for more joy outside of their ambitions. Like, it's so important. And not many of us are so well practiced in it and really honoring all the aspects of them, everything that's meaningful and brings them fulfillment and joy and satisfaction. And I'm also curious to hear, uh, do you notice that your willingness to have so many interests and passions impacts business?
Definitely. When I first started in business, and honestly, even after I was first married and didn't really have a lot of extra responsibilities outside of puppy time, and whatever my own interests were, I could really get in the just was really in the zone when I would work, right? And I would sit down and I would not move from the front of my computer for 8 hours. I mean, I would not eat. I would not like get up to go to the bathroom. I would not get a glass of water. It didn't, I would just work straight through. And that worked for me for a very long time. I'm just a very, I don't know, just in the zone type of individual, which I think a lot of copywriters will understand. I don't like interruptions. And when you're in the zone, you just go. But then when I had my daughter, it was a huge shift. And I couldn't do that anymore because, you start to write, but then, oh, she needs a bottle, or, oh, she needs to get changed, or, gee, I should really take her for a walk because it's a nice day. And there was a lot of fight in me, I feel like at first, because it was such a huge change to my way of life and how I had done things thus far. But she brought a large shift in perspective. And I've never gone back to that way of doing business. I appreciate who that woman was and all that she did and all of the work that she put in to get me to where I am now. But I don't believe in nose to the grindstone and constant hustle and working harder all the time anymore.
I love that reminder. I mean, I'm also appreciating some of your Instagram reels, and it feels like a lot of your like theater skills and strengths from high school present themselves in your full personality on your amazing Instagram reels that I so deeply enjoy.
I love making them. It's just that, again, just that more fun. Like it's how I would be if we knew each other really well. And I think that there's something about giving that much personality through your copy or through whatever avenues people might meet you, because I think it's it's either a real turn on or a real turn off. Like, people are either going to love you and want to work with you, or they're going to be like, nope, not for me. And I'm totally fine either way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I know that like the power of good copywriting is often contingent on the power of a good story. And I'd love to hear one of your own personal favorite stories. But I also am curious how you help your clients, like how you access their most compelling stories. So you can start wherever you'd like.
Well, when I work with clients, usually there's we have a meet and greet type of phone call, and I just try to keep it casual, and we talk about ourselves and life and business, and it would be the exact kind of conversation that I would have with a girlfriend at a coffee house. Because I think that, again, it's really important that you make that connection and that you figure out if you have things in common, because I think that once you connect with somebody, again, you're a lot more open with them. So that's really kind of how I get to know my clients and how they speak, who they are, what some of their stories are. I my mom's a realtor, and so was my grandpa. After he was retired from being a pilot in the military, and so I think that I have a little bit of that personality. I feel like people just tell me things,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't mind at all, and I would never reveal secrets. But I think that there is an element of that to it too. Just when I have a connection with somebody, I feel like they feel more inclined to just tell me things that maybe they wouldn't normally tell other people, which also helps with copy and getting to know who they are on paper or a screen, as it may be. I think, however, the story that you might be referring to is the one about the Chihuahua.
Maybe.
So when I was looking to kind of expand my client base about 3 years ago, I started writing stories that normally go in my newsletters, but I started posting them on social media. And the one that got the craziest response, I couldn't believe it, because when I wrote it, I mean, I was totally cackling to myself, but I didn't think anybody else would find it that funny because so few people knew this dog. But I used to have a Chihuahua. She passed away last spring.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. She was very old. Our running joke was that my husband would have to die before, like she was waiting for my husband to die because they hated each other. So we thought for sure she'd outlive him, but she didn't. But she just was, I mean, she's a Chihuahua, right? She's like 8 pounds. And she was just angry about everything. But one thing that she really loved were blankets. And she had this spot on the couch. And so in my apartment that I lived in when I met my now husband, he came over one night for dinner and he went and sat down on the couch to watch some TV. And he actually sat in the dog's spot on the couch where her blankets were. And she was very upset about this. But she went over to him. She hopped up on the couch and she ran over to his lap and she sat down like she wanted pets. And he went to scratch her ears and she took a huge poop right in his lap. And he jumped up and he like he was so angry, and she just darted off and she went and hid under the bed. And I just thought that was so like, first of all, I can't believe that he still married me after that. Let's just say that.
Props to him.
Right. But also just the idea that you're an 8-pound dog who is upset with somebody and that you go and you sit in their lap and that you're brave enough to poop on them. I mean, he's a big man. He has a huge beard. I think in any other element, he would probably look a little scary to some people, but she didn't care. She was upset because he took her spot on the couch and she just let him know it. And so I think that there's something I remember thinking to myself, gosh, that was really brave. Like if only we all could show that much bravery and courage in the face of something that made us unhappy or frustrated. Yeah, that's just, to this day, I'm still like, wow, what a dog.
What a dog. Truly. But I mean, I love this story. And I also, like, we all have stories like that, right?
Right.
And yet you connected it to business. So first of all, what was like the business takeaway? And then secondly, for our listeners, like how do you help or how do you recommend that we connect the dots between our amazing stories like your Chihuahua and life and business?
I actually don't even remember what I tagged it to. I think I just tagged it to being brave and taking a brave step. And that brave step was, I think at the time it might have been joining me for one-on-one coaching is what it was, for copywriting. Um, so, and I think that can be done with a lot of stories. I talk about that a lot with clients, and then just in workshops and things like that I do. The key to writing copy that people enjoy reading, the type of copy that pops up in your inbox and you're always excited to click on it to open it, is showing your personality. You can write about just personal things that have happened to you, very personal stories, and give people real insights into who you are as a person, how you work, how you process some of the things that you've been through. And it's those elements of writing that make the connection with people and that make them want to get to know you, or buy your thing, or work with you one-on-one, or whatever it is. So yeah, I think when people are unsure what to write, I would say just come up with something that's happened to you recently and write about that, and then see how you can potentially connect it back to what it is that you offer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. What a potent, probably smelly story to go out on. As we truly do, think about what those stories are and how they connect with our learnings and our personalities and how we want to show up in business.
Mm-hmm.
And we always say, dogs are like their owners. So the fact that she was that brave, can you even imagine what that says about you?
I can't. I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, right.
What would I do?
Well, let's see. As we wrap up here, I'm curious, for our listeners who are potentially interested in working with you, what types of copy do you love working with most? And where can folks find you, or where would you recommend they start?
Sure. Definitely start on my website, which is writerlust.com. WRITERLUST.com. I've got some videos on there, a couple of blogs. You can kind of just get to know me and my voice. And you can also just get some free insights into marketing and sales and copywriting for your business, which I think is always a great place to start. And then right now I have two things that I think would be really helpful. I have a one-to-one sales marketing consultation. So basically it's just 1 hour. We can kind of discuss anything you want to discuss that's related to sales and marketing, or if you need help with brainstorming, or maybe you just need help perfecting, a tagline or a subhead, and you can just book that 1 hour call with me and we can knock that out. And then the other thing that I love doing are the Buy My Days, which is you essentially book my day. And if you already have copy written and you just need somebody to go through and make it better, we can do that. Or you can use it to be taught how to write better, and then we can go through some of your stuff together and kind of use it however you want. I like to keep things really organic, so that it meets the needs of the people who utilize it.
Are there any types of copy that you enjoy most, or perhaps think are your sweet spot?
Oh, for sure. I used to write everything under the sun, even, Amazon product descriptions. But my specialty, and really the only thing that I write for clients anymore, are either email sequences or landing pages.
Oh, I see. So with the buy your day or the 1 hour consult, it's really any body of copy that people want help improving.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
But the only thing available for purchase, to have me write from scratch, are email sequences and sales pages.
Cool. Makes sense. Well, I adore you, as you know, and this has been so lovely. I end every conversation by asking the same question, which is, what has supported you in becoming a prosperous empath?
I think one of the things that I had the most difficult time around when I was first getting started in business were money blocks. And I didn't realize how many I had. And especially as a copywriter, because I felt like there were so many copywriters and the market was so saturated, coming up with pricing was very difficult. And I discovered Denise Duffield Thomas. I don't know if you've ever read any of her books, but she just was a game changer for me as far as being who you are and charging what you're worth, and that the right people will come to you. So I think she was a real game changer for me as far as gaining confidence in not only my skills, but what I was able to charge for them.
I love that. I mean, coming back to DDT, like, she's an incredible storyteller.
Mm-hmm. She really is.
Yeah. Amazing. I love her stories.
Yes, same.
Thanks so much for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
Thank you so much for listening today to this episode of the Prosperous Empath Podcast with me, Catherine Wood. Make sure you subscribe and leave a review so you don't miss an episode, and so more empaths just like you and me can find the show. As a thank you, each month, one lucky reviewer will receive a 60-minute coaching session with a member of our Unbounded Potential team. You can find all the show notes and bonus resources over at unbounded-potential.com. Thank you so much for listening and locking arms with me to bring empathy and prosperity back into the world of business.